session's over, and it was, I think, a contentious session. I think one that shined a very bright light on the Democrats and their sort of overuse of their power. And you made mention of that many different times and fought, I thought, very hard against some of that stuff. But in a general sense, if you could just look to one positive thing that came away from this session and then one negative thing, what's the first one that jumps to your mind in both cases?
Well, I think you're right. This was a very contentious legislative session, and the Democrats moved a lot of very, very dangerous and onerous legislation, almost daring the people of Connecticut with common sense, Republicans, and like-minded people that value individual liberty and the concept of America as founded. I think they really pushed their buttons in a big way, and daring those folks to fight back. And I'd say that's the biggest negative, is that they had so much extreme confidence that they were able to pass the anti-homeschooling bill, more gun control, violations of medical freedom and parents' rights, just one thing after another right on down the line. The positive, I think, is that I think more and more people are aware that the Democrats have really gone off the deep end in their search for power and control than ever. And we have the best candidate running for governor, I think, in my lifetime. And I think we have a real chance to turn the state around. I am much less doom and gloom than a lot of other folks. I think the Democrats have overreached, and I think it is time for a Republican resurgence in Connecticut.
So the question is, do enough of the average, and I don't mean this in a negative way because people have their lives, they get in the way, Little League practice, and, got to do an extra shift for overtime, and they can't be as plugged in as you and me, right, when it comes to this stuff. So do you think enough people realize that there's overreach, enough people realize that it is one-party rule, that when November comes rolling around, they're going to say, you know what, I think maybe we need to try to balance the scales of power a little bit?
The answer is no. And that's been our problem for a number of years. I think people are predisposed to vote for their political party of choice that they've had in mind, maybe their whole lifetime or in recent history, and they're less inclined to change than they ought to be, based on circumstances on the ground, understanding what's actually happening in their state as far as policy that impacts them. There's literally very little reason for most people to be voting for the Democratic Party in the state of Connecticut. Not everyone is on social services. Not everyone is a state employee. And even those folks have less and less reason to continue voting for the Democrats because, the Democrats may do their best to cater to certain special interests, they're also violating those same people's other rights. And I think people are going to have to make some decisions. What's interesting is that I think a lot of people think Connecticut is a deep blue state and that the average person is actually fine going along with what the Democrats are doing. And I just don't think that's true. I think you're more accurate when you say that most people just don't know. And that's always been the difficulty. But I think we're going to be in a real strong opportunity to paint a very good picture of this election cycle. You're going to have the Democrats they're really exposing who they are and what they're about in a Democratic primary for governor, where Josh Elliott's certainly not going to be apologetic about his extreme far-left radical views.
Right.
So they're going to be very obvious, and I think that Senator Fazio is going to prosecute a case unlike we've ever seen before.
It's interesting because we talk about this a lot, and still, Democrats have complete control. But you're right. It's not a blue state. If we assign blue to the Democrats and red to the Republicans and white to the unaffiliated, we'd be in a white state. I mean, or however you want to quantify it, or a purple state if you want to give that the color. Whatever the color that you want to assign to unaffiliated is fine with me. But the truth is, there's 43% of the population of this state is not affiliated to a party. And that 43% has to be reached.
Amen. Yeah, and again, I mean, it's a turnout thing as well. I mean, I think we've suffered in the last couple of cycles as Republicans by a lack of turnout. And that is because the Republican Party in this state is weak, frankly. But I do believe that we have an opportunity to fix that. If we have a new standard bearer, we have Governor Fazio, future-elect Governor Fazio on the ticket, setting the standard for what it means to be a Republican in Connecticut and not the old mamby-pamby way where we're going to hide what we believe in a real, genuine comparison and contrast between what the Democrats stand for. We need to, in this election cycle, do something that has not been done the last couple of times. And I don't want to pick on Tom Foley or Bob Stefanowski. They were fine men and decent candidates in their own right, but they did not do the one thing that I think is key, and that is to make it very clear where the Democrat incumbent governor stands on issues. And you see Brian doing that right now. He is out challenging the governor on every one of the bills that he's signing into law, something that didn't happen in the past. They need to own what they've done. People in the state will become aware of it only through that type of messaging and reporting, and that's why I think it's so important.
And, this is a rare thing, I think. There's no statewide office primaries, so you've got a cohesive Republican unit going up against a Democrat Party, which is the flip-flop. You would have never seen this coming if I were to say this 6 months ago, that Lamont was going to get primaried. You would have said, no, that's crazy talk. Yet here we go. So now they have a little bit of an internal squabble, and the Republicans seemingly are actually, flying under the same banner. So that I would think that has to go a long way, right?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Necessity, Lee, is the mother of invention, right? And you see the necessity of the Republican Party having to change their course in order to get back into relevance.
Right.
And the change of course is unity. I think that after what happened with Mayor Stewart, I think people across the Republican Party realize that, our internal squabbles are less important than actually standing as a strong opposition force to what the Democrats are doing to the residents of the state. And what the Connecticut Democrats are doing to the residents of the state is unbelievable. It is really shocking that Connecticut has turned into a place that rivals California in the level of madness that is being imposed upon the residents. And not just in the realm of affordability, which I think is what the election will hinge on, but all of these individual intrusions into individual freedom and the rights of private citizens, unlike we've ever seen before. I mean, it is really flabbergasting. And they're going to come back for more if they win. And I think everyone's fully aware of that. And the more we can make the people of Connecticut fully aware that if they want to see more far left, radical California type leftist agenda policy making in Connecticut, let the Democrats win. But I think there's enough people that are actually waking up on a day-to-day basis, and I really do think a strong campaign, new standard where we're actually contrasting, we're not hiding under the covers, I think it can make a big difference.
Senator Rob Sampson, our guest, and always a pleasure and an honor to have him on. I was talking a little bit to Heather Summers yesterday, who will come on Friday with us, and she said she's busier now than in session. Are you out there with your constituents talking about different issues that, you have to start the fight on for next go-around? Has that already happened for you?
Oh, yeah. It's all hands on deck, and I'm the kind of person that never stops. Right. I get a lot of opportunities to go and visit people and speak or, meet with constituents and so forth, and I never say no. So for me, it's an opportunity. A lot of people do this job in different ways. For me, I take it as a tremendous responsibility, and I just feel obligated to do the absolute best that I can. And I have tremendous passion for the job, for the country, and the opportunity that I think is before us. I mean, I've been in office since 2010, and I've never felt so confident about winning the governor's race as I do today.
Amazing.
And that will entirely change the map in Connecticut. I mean, there's no way we're going to end up with Republican majorities in the House or Senate.
Right.
But we can break the supermajorities, and we can have a governor that has the bully pulpit, who can set the course, who can expose even more what the Democrats have done from the inside. You just think about, what happens when you have a governor controlling the executive branch and basically uncovering what's been going on in all of those different state agencies and so forth over the decades the Democrats have been in power. I think they're on what they call death ground. If you read any Sun Tzu, and so they're going to fight as hard as they can to protect their power and control that they have. But I really do feel like we're in a good opportunity.
Well, Senator, I can't thank you enough for for giving us a few minutes today. I appreciate it. We'll talk very, very soon. But best of luck. Is there a website or a place they can go to find out more about you?
You can find me on all my social media or my website. All of it is the same. It is Sampson 4CT.
All right, brother. I thank you. I'll talk to you soon.